Hello everybody, welcome back once again to the channel, and today we have to address and discuss the different Marvel Tōkon leaks and essentially debates that have been happening online since the release of the game for potential DLC. There is a lot of information going around that I would like to clarify so you can maybe understand better what these leaks actually mean for the game and how they could translate into actual DLC characters. So don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the Marvel Tōkon content, and now let's go right into the leaks and discuss them. And well, the first leak that we gotta talk about is actually from Twitter, from a specifically XOX leak, which is an account that tends to leak a lot of info for Marvel Rivals, and it is quite actually reliable, so that's why I'm making this video. And it says that 5 characters have been found in the files of Marvel Tōkon, specifically Doctor Strange, Wasp, Gambit, The Thing, and Daredevil. Now, the detail that is relevant about all of this is that, of course, all of these characters can make it into the game. Like, you don't even need a leak to understand that these characters could be DLC. They're all relatively popular and make a lot of sense for the game. But the thing is that in the data mining, a lot of this stuff is actually related to, for example, potentially old processes in development, like prototype characters that never made it into the game, or also it could be DLC, but not necessarily for Season 1 after Cyclops, which is the character that we have, already announced. Like, for example, these 5 picks could actually be Season 4, Season 5 DLC for the game. You don't need to actually think that there will be a part of Year 1. And it is really important to clarify that, because I think that a lot of people are getting the wrong idea from this leak, that maybe these characters are going to be all on Season 1, and that is not going to be the case. So just to clarify that, maybe, a Strange, Wasp, Gambit, The Thing, and Daredevil will all make it into the game, but on a 6-year period, not only as Year 1 DLC. Then we also have another part of the leak from the same account on Twitter that is actually related to stages, and this one is very interesting because, for example, they talk about Clintar being a stage that will make it into the game, and Clintar is heavily related to characters like Venom, right, or Null, and none of those two are mentioned in the 5 characters that were kind of like data mined as DLC in the future. So that to me is another sign that overall you need to take all of this info with a big grain of salt, at least when it comes to the time window in which all of this might be released for the game, or even if it's going to happen in the first place, since like I said before, and also like Rin mentioned on Twitter, which is a game developer that also have actually covered, her work on my YouTube in the past with her, fighting game engine that is open source to make your own fighting game. She actually said as well on Twitter that, all of this information could very easily be kind of like old prototypes of a ton of stuff that never made it into the actual game and could never happen. So just again, please take all of this, with a grain of salt. That's why I wanted to make this video, so that people don't go too crazy about these leaks and all this stuff, just taking it as something that is 100% gonna make it into the game. We don't know. We don't know if it's even gonna make it or when. So all this information is true. It is, it comes from data mining, so it is actually in the files of the game, but that doesn't mean that all of this is 100% guaranteed in the future updates for the actual title, for Marvel Tōkon as a game. And then the last part that I wanted to discuss is actually the comic book that got released alongside Marvel Tōkon, and a lot of people have said that some of the characters in the comic book might transform into DLC in the future, because there is a clear theme of characters that are present in the comic that are not playable in the game, and it kind of becomes, an actual thematic theme for DLC. So we already have Cyclops announced for the game, and in the comic there are 3 very noticeable characters that are not playable in the base roster, which are going to be Silver Surfer, Thor, and also Nova. And all of those characters actually, if you think about it, make sense for a cosmic team, because all of them are related in some way to the cosmic, big theme in Marvel. And they would also make a lot of sense as Year 1 DLC, in the sense that they're all relatively popular, super cool characters, and would probably be quite hype. If you ask me, at least I think they will be a cool selection overall. But the problem again is that we have a ton of other games that, in the past have had this kind of like external media marketing or publicity with characters that, for example, are not playable in the actual fighting game, and they never make it into the game as DLC. It has, there's a lot of examples in the past. Like, for example, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite had a comic that had a lot of characters that never made it into the game, even if it were planned for development. That doesn't mean that it's going to happen. A lot of the time, for example, a game has planned DLC that is already in development, or they have at least the prototype of the character, and those never make it because something happens in the process of developing the DLC, or the game doesn't get enough support, which is, of course was the case for MVCI. That was kind of like a flop, at least in the context of Marvel vs. Capcom as a franchise. So I would say that, again, please take this into consideration. For example, the 3 characters from the comic that are popular, that are not playable, could never make it into the game as well. We don't know. So I just wanted to talk about all of this and clarify kind of like what it really means for the future of the game. And of course, all of these characters could happen as DLC, but again, it also couldn't. So it is important to understand it like that and don't get overhyped by information that doesn't really, confirm anything alongside just, context within the data mining of the game, and also the publicity or marketing that they are doing externally with the comic to actually push the game sales and stuff like that. So thank you for watching the video. Like and subscribe if you enjoy the Marvel Tōkon content. I just wanted to, again, clarify all of this, and see you on the next one. Take care.